tell you just how good the Lord has been to me. When the enemy came to attack me, gave me the victory. Look beyond my issues when I messed up myself. Fix the bad condition. I can't speak for no one else. Can I get a witness? The Lord been good. If it wasn't for the Lord, no way I would be. And y'all don't mind, just do me a favor. Tell somebody, go tell your neighbor. Yeah. I said it's been good. Sure enough good. Yeah. Do you know it's been good? Oh, do you know it's been good? Say, can I get a witness that the Lord's been good? Can I get a witness? The Lord's been good. He's been so good. He's been so good. Been so good. Oh, I think y'all like that. I like it too. Listen, in a world where a lot of things are going wrong, but there's still one thing that I can say, y'all, that I know the Lord. I know the Lord. I said, I know the Lord. I said, I know the Lord. If y'all don't mind, if y'all don't.
Here's a word from the Lord. Comes from Luke, the 5th chapter. Luke, the 5th chapter, beginning at verse 1. Luke, the 5th chapter, beginning at verse 1. As a matter of fact, let's go down to verse 4. Luke, the 5th chapter, beginning at verse 4. These words are recorded. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water, let down your nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we have worked all night long." The church say all night long. "But have caught nothing. Yet if you say so, I will let down the nets." When they had done this, they caught so many fish that their nets were beginning to break. That 4th verse, Jesus says, "Put out into the deep water, let down your nets for a catch." I want you to pray with us this morning from this theme on this Men's Day. Let's go into the deep. Let's go into the deep. Let's go into the deep. It is one of the 7 wonders of the world, located in Queensland, Australia. It's longer than the Great Wall of China, and it's one of the most sought-after tourist attractions in the world. It is called the Great Barrier Reef. Story is told of a family who went out to visit the reef, and when reflecting on their visit, the father described how it was odd to be out 70 miles into the ocean and be standing in ankle-deep water as he stood on the reef. He had gone with his wife and his son. He and his wife Barbara spent the day snorkeling with the sun burning their backs as they looked at the beauty of the reef while they snorkeled, but their son went scuba diving. That's I'm preaching right there. Y'all just missed that. Let me come back and get it and give it to you again. On the reef, this man and his wife went snorkeling in shallow waters, staying close to the safety of the hardened reef. However, while they never left the surface of the reef, their son went scuba diving. They snorkeled in the shallow. Their son went into the deep. And here's what the father says. He said, "What amazes me most is that upon returning from the Great Barrier Reef, ask me if I've been there. I will hastily say yes. And so will my son. But the truth of the matter is that the content of our experiences was vastly different. We know the surface of the reef, but my son can appreciate the deep of the reef." I think I'm preaching already. Here it is. Why? Because in this life, there are some things that you'll experience in deep waters that you can't appreciate in shallow waters. Come on, I came for you this morning. Here it is. Shallow waters may seem safer, but shallow waters won't expose you to the expanse and experience that deep waters will. Am I talking to anybody yet? Come on, shallow waters are seemingly more comfortable, but shallow waters won't give you what the deep can. Shallow waters may help you keep your footing, but deep waters may help you find yourself. I think it was Albert Einstein who said that ships are safe at shore, but that's not what they were built for. Come on, ships are safe in the shallow, but they were built to delve into the deep. And on this Men's Day, I want to encourage some brothers to remind you that you ain't made for no shallow waters. God made you to delve into deep waters. God didn't create you to coast in the comfort of the shallow waters. No, like that ship, God built you on purpose, with purpose, for purpose, to go into some deep waters. I know y'all wondering if I'm in the text. I'm in the text already. Here it is. We find in the text the divine and the disciples. And as we peek in on this episode already in session, we find Jesus invited them to go into the deep to get what they couldn't get in the shallow. Text says Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, also known as the Sea of Galilee, and he was serving as a professor. And as he was serving as professor, the people pressed in on him too much. So he gets in Simon's boat and pushes out just a little bit away from the shore. Y'all see that? He gets in the boat and turns the boat into a pulpit or a lectern in order to teach the masses. Did y'all hear what I just said? He gets in the boat. The boat is made to sail, but he gets in the boat and turns it into a pulpit or a lectern. That's preaching material. I can't run by that right there because the Lord can take whatever you have and turn it into what the Lord needs. Come on, preach. Here it is. Don't ever despise what you have, because the Lord can use what you have to do what the Lord needs. Here it is. Here it is. Howard Thurman says, there is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, you will spend your days you will spend all of your days on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. And one of the fallacies of false Christianity is the notion that you always got to look outside of yourself to find what God has already put inside of you. But the truth of the matter is that the Lord can take just what you have right where you are and use what you got to do what the Lord needs. Am I talking to anybody yet? He tells Simon, he says, push out from the shore. Because when speaking toward the shore, I had to do my homework. I know I was coming to preach for Dr. Andrew Singleton. When pushing out from the shore, the water provided a good acoustic accent so that he could be heard better from the ship than from the shore. And so he teaches the lesson, tells Simon, put out from the shore, go to the deep, let down your nets for a big catch. And so Simon goes to the deep, lets down your net for a big catch. And Simon says, Master, I know you just got here, but we've been here all night long. And we still ain't caught nothing. And here you are coming in the morning after we've been here all night long. Church say all night long. All night long. And you telling me to go back out into the deep, let down my nets for a catch? Why would Simon respond to Jesus in such a way? I had to do my homework when I found out. I found out that Simon was a fisherman. And for fishermen, nighttime was the right time to catch some fish. They caught fish, and they fished when the sun went down, and they fished also in the shallow near the shore. That's what they caught at night and sold in the morning to make ends meet. So here is Simon fishing all night long. After he fished all night, he's now washing his nets. Verse 2 says, signifying that his fishing is finished for the day. Washing his nets. Because when you throw your nets out there and bring your nets in, there may be some things you catch that you don't want. Y'all take that any way you want. I ain't scared of none of y'all. When you throw your nets out there and bring them in, sometimes you got to wash your nets. Because sometimes you catch stuff or folk you don't want. Because here's the lesson. Everything that's caught ain't meant to be kept. Talk, Reggie. And if you're not careful, if you don't clean your nets, you'll be carrying something that you caught that you ain't want to keep in the first place. So sometimes you need to bring closure, I'm talking to somebody, and clean off what you caught so you don't keep carrying what you shouldn't have kept in the first place. That ain't even in the sermon. Here, let's keep going. He cleans his nets because he's done. Fished and now he's finished. He's tried all night. Now he's tired and he's washing his hands of the nets of last night. He's finished. Kaput, deuces, finito. I'm out of here. Here he goes. And after Jesus gets done with his morning devotional, he says, Simon, who done already washed his nets, Simon, who done fished all night and who's washing his nets because he's caught some stuff he don't want. He said, Simon, go out to the deep and let down your nets for a catch. Jesus don't ask him how much he caught or didn't catch. Jesus don't tell him everything gonna be all right. Jesus doesn't ask him why he didn't catch any fish. Now, Jesus says to somebody who was tried and tried and tried all night long, try it again. Am I talking to anybody? You don't have the right to give up right now. You are not allowed to bow out gracefully right now. No, Jesus says to somebody who's ready to give up and throw in the towel, watch it, try again and go deeper. The deep. What's the deep? The deep are those places that you have not explored, but in it waits a new experience. The deep. Places you've been afraid to go, but the Lord is pushing you to go, because it may just be in those places that you experience what you were put here for in the first place. The divinely designated places that are waiting for you to explore them, but you ain't touched them because it's out of your comfort zone. Let's go into the deep. It got quiet on that. Y'all ain't like that. And maybe sometimes that's why we fail to live up to our full potential. Because we'd rather stay in the shallow where it's comfortable than go into the deep. In fact, many times we'd rather go backward than go forward because it's more comfortable to go backward. We'd rather stay in the shallow waters of greed than venture into the deep waters where every need is met for every person. We'd rather continue to let people get killed by gun violence than delve into the depths of making this country safe so our kids can walk to cool school in safety. And so we let the NRA throw us a few bucks of hush money to shut us up while the voices of children are being hushed. We'd rather stay in shallow waters than delve into the deep waters that require more work and responsibility. Come on out of the shallow. Delve into the deep. Come on out of the sanctuary and go into the streets. He's been out there all night long, caught nothing. And Jesus says, go deeper. Invites him to fish in the day and in the deep. And here is the critical moment, sisters and brothers. Here's the critical moment is found in verse 5. In verse 5 it says, Master, we've been working all night long and still ain't caught nothing. Period. Yet, if you say so, I'll let down these nets. That's the critical moment, because here at that moment, he surrenders control to the Christ. And at that moment, he leans not to his own understanding. The whole text hinges on that moment. And so he's challenging him, going to the deep. If you're going to go into the deep, what do you do if you're going to go into it? How do you handle going into the deep? I'll give you 3, and I'll be on my way. Here it is, 3 points. Here it is. If you're going to go into the deep, the first thing text helps us to see, if you're going to go into the deep, you've got to be truthful about your trials. Did y'all hear what I said? If you're going to go into the deep, you've got to be truthful about your trials. In other words, be real about where you are. It's in the text. He invites him to the deep. Simon comes back and says, fishing all night long, ain't caught nothing. Need I remind you, fishing took place at night? He was fishing all night, caught nothing. That's his testimony. I've been fishing all night. I caught nothing. Everybody knew that's when you caught the most fish. And you didn't catch it during the day. You caught them at night. And Simon says, I've been trying all night. I've been doing what I'm supposed to be doing all night, when I was supposed to doing it, which was all night, and yet I still have nothing to show for it. Is that anybody's testimony? I've been trying and still ain't caught nothing. You've been trying, and your trying has gotten you nothing but frustration. And the harder you try, the less you get. And all your hard work seems to make no difference. You cast your net, and you catch nothing that benefits you. And if you're honest, it don't make you want to sing no hymns. But it make you, in the words of Marvin Gaye, want to holler. Throw up both your hands. Don't y'all act like y'all don't know Marvin Gaye. Rockets, moonshots, spend it on the have-nots. Money, we make it. Before we see it, you take it. Oh. I knew y'all knew more than near my God to thee. Makes you want to holler when cowards in Congress push through a tax plan that penalizes the poor while rewarding the rich. Maybe your testimony is, I almost let go. I'm back with you now, huh? Thought I couldn't take life anymore. Had me, come on. Sometimes it can make you feel that the more you try, the less you get. And when you look around, you see all you got to face, you want to say, why bother? Why bother putting in the hard work? Why bother keeping on going? Why bother when no matter how hard you try in the political climate or your personal conditions, nothing changes and nothing moves and nothing gets better? If you're not too holy, can you admit that you've been there or you there right now? Because if so, you got some company in this text. Can I help somebody? If that's where you are, be honest about where you are. Because there's some of us who are there but want to act like we ain't there. We want to act like it is what ain't and what ain't is. Some of us try to act like we got it all together, got all the answers, like we act like we really are what we really are not. No, it's important to be truthful about your trials for your own sanity. Because here it is. You can never get where you're going if you ain't honest about where you are. Watch this. Those garbage workers in 1968 would have never organized to go into deeper waters if they would have acted like everything was okay. And if you're not where you want to be, here it is. Recognize it, but don't rehearse it. Recognize it for your current location, but also recognize that your current location ain't your final destination. Because here it is. You can't get any quality transportation to your deeper destination if you're not honest about your current location. So if you want some transformation in your situation, you got to engage in honest communication about your current location on your way to your divinely designed deeper destination. In other words, you on your way somewhere. And because you on your way somewhere, you got to be real about where you are. You got to be real about where you are. Be truthful about your trials. That's the first thing. That's the first thing if you're going to go to the deep. But not only if you're going to go into the deep, must you be truthful about your trials. But here's the thing. You also must learn how to reevaluate your resources. Reevaluate your resources. Where you see that at, Pastor? Here it is, here it is, here it is. Reevaluate your. I didn't see it at first either. Watch it. It's morning time. Jesus says, push out into the deep. Let down your nets for a big catch. And that's messed up because remember, done in the shallow, done at night. He says, push out into the deep. Let down your nets for a big catch. It's the wrong time and the wrong place, but he catches the right stuff with the nets. Something happens when you know the Lord. You can even be in the wrong time and the wrong place. That's another sermon. I'm sorry, I'll come back and get that. It's the wrong time, wrong place. Catches the right stuff with the nets. Don't forget the nets are the nets that Simon was just cleaning enclosure so he wouldn't carry what he didn't want to keep. And these are the same nets that Simon used to catch what he caught in the shallow. But now Simon is trying to catch in the deep with what he used in the shallow. And the text says, in the deep waters, the nets he used to catch with in shallow waters could not hold what was coming in deep waters. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere. Now, on one land, you could ask Peter, now if you ain't catch nothing with those nets in the shallow waters, what makes you think you're going to be able to handle in the deep what you can't handle in the shallow? So watch what happens. The text says, when they did what the Lord told them to do, they caught so many fish that the nets were beginning to break. And we can shout over that, can't we? The fact that he caught it in the deep. But here it is. We can shout over the fact that he caught the fish. But the fish was caught at what cost? It got quiet in here, y'all. Because you got the fish, but your net started breaking. And you're threatening to lose everything you got in the deep because you're using what you used in the shallow. You got the catch. But if you're not careful, you're going to lose what you caught in the deep. If in the deep you're using what can't handle what is needed in the deep, which is to say that when you delve into the deep, that's the time to do some reevaluation. Because what you used in the shallow may not be able to handle where you are in the deep. What used to be able to hold what you had may not be able to hold what you have. I ain't coming through. What you had was for that shallow season. But the resources you use in your shallow season won't be able to sustain you in deep dilemmas because the same nets you used in shallow can't handle the tension of the deep and the pressure of deep waters. Come on, anybody know fishing? Anybody go fishing? Fishermen and women today will tell you can't use the same line fishing from shore that you use when fishing in deep waters Because the tension is tougher in the deep than it is in the shallow. Come on, what does that look like? Let me make that live. Here it is. Your transition in the deep waters, reevaluate your nets. Come on. You can't do at 42, 52, or 62. The same thing you did at 22. Come on, am I talking to anybody here? You can't do at 45, 55, 65. Same thing you did at 25, 35. You can't do it. Come on, people talking about places I used to go, I don't go no more. Because you can't. Come on, the clubs done closed down you used to go to. Ain't no more E2. You still trying to hang out at botches. Ain't no more E2. People I used to be with, I don't be with. No, you can't. You can't live as an adult like you did when you were a child because you ain't in the shallow waters no more. You can't live in 2018 like you did in 1968. Come on. I submit to you. Sometimes our nets break because we haven't taken the time to reevaluate our resources prior to going into another season. Those nets that used to hold you can't hold you no more. You're not the same person you were as the person you are. You've gotten comfortable with those nets. You used to know how to work the nets, but now the Lord is calling you to a deeper assignment, and the nets that were in the shallow can't keep you in the deep. The nets are breaking in the deep because you was using shallow nets in deep waters. Come on, I'm talking to anybody? Am I talking to anybody? Reevaluate your resources. But last but not least, here it is, and I'll let you go. I see y'all looking at the clock because y'all trying to get to the playoffs. I am too. I ain't playing with y'all. Here it is. Here it is. Last point. If you're going to go into the deep, text also helps us to see, last but not least, that you got to keep trusting even when you're tired of trying. Keep trusting even when you're tired of trying. Simon says, I've been trying all night long. Worked all night long. Still hasn't made a difference. And here you are telling me to go back out. I worked all night long. Jesus, you're a carpenter. You deal with wood. I'm a fisherman. And just like you know about wood, I know about fish. That's about where Simon is. And that's where we are sometimes. Sometimes we claim to place all our trust in the Lord. We can say with the best of them, trust in the Lord, all your heart, lean not to your own understanding. But when it comes down to some of this, Lord, I don't need you right now. That's some of y'all, okay. That's where Simon is for a moment. But watch the end of the verse. Keep it reading. Because there's a shift. He says, I done tried all night long. But if you say so, I'll let down the nets. He's tired of trying, but if you say so, I'm going to try it again. Now, on one end, Simon could be being sarcastic. Y'all know Simon. He could be being sarcastic. He could be saying, I know what I'm doing. I'm the fisherman, you the carpenter, but just so you satisfied since you Jesus and all, let me go ahead and prove you wrong and let down these nets and get some more stuff I don't want to catch. Jesus, he could be saying that. This could be sarcastic, simple Simon. Or it could be cynical, simple Simon. Because he could be saying, I done tried this all night long, Lord, and I still ain't got nothing. That could be the cry of black folk, could it? We've been trying to be nice. We've been trying to respect the law. We've been trying to do all what we're supposed to do. But even when we respect the law, with the law of respectability, they still killing us. They still killing our kids. We could say that. Anybody ever felt like Simon like that? Even when we do what we're supposed to do, he could either be being sarcastic or cynical. But if you read it in context, Simon may not have been being sarcastic or cynical. He may have just come to his senses. If you say so, I'll let down my nets. Because he's remembered what has happened in the past when the Lord said so. He had a flashback. He remembered when the Lord did something just by his word. This is Luke 5, but if your Bible readers will go back to Luke 4, you'll remember that at his word, a man with an unclean spirit in the church house was freed from the demons that captivated him just because the Lord said so. At his word, when Jesus came to Simon's mother-in-law's house, and Simon's mother-in-law was sitting up with a fever because she had been rejected by the hospitals of the day because she didn't have no health care. And so Jesus comes into the house and stands over her and rebukes the fever and tells the sickness to keep stepping. And it was just at his word, just because the Lord says so. And the book says the fever left her, and she began to serve them. That's another sermon for another day. But when the Lord has done something for you, you don't just hold it to yourself. You do something for somebody. All I'm saying is that Simon, when cynical or sarcastic, he had come to his senses, had a flashback. Because in his mind, he said, if the Lord can cause demons to depart by his word and a fever to flee by his word, then maybe at his word, I can get some catfish or some salmon, or bring in some bass. All I know is I'm tired, but I'm going to keep trusting him because I've already seen what he can do. And every now and then, when you're out in the deep, you ought to just take a faith flashback. If the Lord has already made a way before, then the Lord can make a way again. If the Lord has provided for you before, then the Lord can do it again. I don't care how long you've been trying. I don't care how long you've been fishing. If the Lord has done it before, keep on fighting, keep on marching, keep on press testing, keep on pushing, keep on recording, keep on writing, keep on doing. But whatever you do, do not quit. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when funds are low and debts are high, when you want to smile but you got to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Don't stop trying, and don't stop trusting. How do you not stop trying and trusting? Don't stop trying to trust him. Look at the text. Here's how you do it. Realize that through all of this, in the shallow and the deep, the Lord was still on the boat. The Lord never left the boat. You can trust and triumph because who's on your boat with you? You can trust and keep trying because the one who promised never to leave you nor forsake you is still on the boat with you. You don't have to be scared of the deep because whether you're in shallow waters or deep waters, the Lord is still on the boat with you.
Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to worshiping with you at either our 9 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. Sunday services that are biblically based, illustrated, contemporary, and timely. Our services cater to men, women, the young, and young at heart. We also invite you to join us for Tuesday night Bible study at 7:45 p.m. and Lunch on the Word on Wednesdays at noon. We are so thankful for your continued support of this ministry. And if this excerpt from our service touched your heart to either give financially to the ministry or to purchase the entire worship service on either CD or DVD, please call 708-283-0383 or visit us online at www.victoryapostolicchurch.org.